The sound of rushing water at last. We raised another white marlin which stayed behind the boat for a little while but just wouldn't switch onto the other lure, so missed him again, unlucky. But yeah, the wind came up yesterday afternoon and through the night we've had up to 20 knots and it's looking good. We're going good, great guns. We've got the code and the jib out, gull winging, goose wing, wing on wing. Just got a teaser out. Yeah, going great guns. Looks like we've got 3 days of this. We've still got 900 odd to Fernando, so yeah, it's slow going, not a lot of excitement. Busy sorting out a stew for tonight. They're going a bit nasty, we've got to get rid of them. Some steak we had from St. Helena, very luckily. Probably the only reason why I was there because it's too expensive for the locals to afford. We've got a Instapot, so we're going to smash that. All the ingredients inside: tomatoes, carrots, onions, cabbage, steak braised. What else have we got there? Some mustard, some stock. We'll see what it tastes like.
One thing is for sure, we had plenty of time on our hands, and I was spending more and more time in the kitchen working on perfecting that spaghetti bolognese and baking some more bread.
As the last loaf is finished, we're coming out with the next one. Check that out. It's becoming a work of art. We just got to get it just like a little bit higher, not that high.
So with little to do on the boat but eat, watch and sleep, let's go and check out Wayne's adventure from 2018. Wayne and a friend of his, Bram, had set out from Cape Town to row to Rio, the first ever to do that, on a small rowboat. I used the ample downtime that we had on the boat to chat to Wayne and to ask him about his adventure and how the whole trip had come about and what it was like to spend 3 months alone at sea in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
So how did you actually get involved with going on the trip in the first place? You were saying that you...
4 days before departure, yeah.
And then you threw yourself in 4 days before departure day. How well did you know Bram before that?
Nothing.
Not at all?
Nothing.
Never met the guy?
No, if I knew what I knew now. So the first time I actually rowed the boat was when I got on it that morning and I held the oars in my hand and said, okay,
the first time,
let's do
was
this.
That it?
Yeah.
You've never rowed the boat before you left?
Never fucking moved the boat.
So the only rowing experience that you had before that was like zero?
Fuck off.
Nothing.
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah.
No training, no jack
Fuck
shit.
all. Nothing.
That is freaking nuts.
because I was doing the weather routing for the guys, so I had to check the models, and the day that we'd picked to go was actually not the right weather day, but the time was getting on and people were under pressure. So I said to Bram, look, once we get around the breakwater, we've got a road to Clifton. Don't point for Robben Island. We're going to go that. I said, dude, trust me, we've got a road to Clifton. We've got to go past Clifton, we've got to go past Llandudno. We're going to go west, okay? Fuck what going to Rio, we're going that way. And it was a big already. So we did. We were in the lee of the mountain, and then when we turned, the wind swung westerly, as predicted.
And behind you, yeah.
So we were being blown onto Blower Beach and onto Robben Island, which meant that the rudder was permanently at like 3 or 4 degrees,
Oh shit.
pointing that way.
Yeah.
And the one oar, this oar was useless because you had to keep on pulling
On the one side.
on your left side to keep the boat pointing up. So you could actually put this oar away and just row with both hands on one oar. But we rowed for 13 hours. From the moment we cleared that breakwater, we rowed non-stop for 13 hours.
You guys must have made some serious doubts right there.
But we really went on to Robben Island.
Get a cell ready for us. We're on our way.
And how much experience had Bram had of this whole story?
Fuck all.
Zero.
He's got zero sea experience.
Nothing sea experience. Absolutely nothing.
He couldn't navigate.
If
it wasn't for me, he would have died.
Orchestrated plan.
Man, holy moly, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The first guys ever to row from Cape Town to Rio on a rowboat.
Yeah.
And how many have done it since? One. One on his own. Jeez.
Sounds like those Jamaicans.
Cool runnings. Yeah. The Jamaican bobsleigh crew.
Like the equivalent of getting towed in a
Man, you guys
Nazaré.
are. It's the most nuts story. This is like the craziest story ever.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's nuts.
It's insane.
Did they ever send you for any kind of like mental assessment afterwards?
They definitely certify you immediately.
And they stamp on the
No, but
forehead,
same.
not well.
Jeez, that is crazy.
But I only managed to do it because of my seamanship. Because I had to navigate by hand. We had no power, so it was mostly DR and getting the odd fix. And because I'm an athlete, as a cyclist, all the power and the rowing is in your legs. It's not upper body anything.
It's technique and using
Technique in your legs. So I didn't find it physically challenging. Really, it was more sleep deprivation. It's biggie. And then your brain starts.
sleep deprivation is hectic.
You can't think. You can't calculate.
Yeah. That's crazy. So you must have had a couple of hairy experiences along the way. I'm sure you got a couple of stories.
We had a couple of rolls, pitch bowls, and the thing with the boat was it had a very round bottom hull with a skeg, a daggerboard in the rudder. And so
Just sort of like a small sailboat daggerboard.
yeah, it was about that long.
Retractable.
Yeah, and you dropped it through the hull.
Okay.
And it was all the way down or all the way off.
Yeah.
So it was to stop the boat from drifting sideways in the wind, so it just tracked straight. So at night we were probably day 15 or 16 I think, and we got clapped by a hectic storm. It was like a 17-18 second swell.
Yeah.
And so the boat starts to surf like this. And the problem is that the boat's only got so much reserve buoyancy in the bow. You can't, like on a monohull or something, when you surf, you run to the back of the boat, you keep the bow up. But because we're inside the cabin, the weight is in
All
the
the
front
weight's
of the
in
boat.
front, yeah. So you want to broach crazy.
So we're surfing, and I said to Bram, and I said, listen, we've got shit coming here. We're going to roll. There's no question about it. The sea's building. The wind is coming from the side. We're going to get clapped sooner or later. And it built and it built and it built until eventually we had no lies, 40, at least 8 to 10 meter waves coming at us, breaking a green like this, but coming across the quarter like this. So I said, look, we're going to have to lash everything down in the cockpit, lash up all the oars, make sure everything's locked down. climb inside, put a life jacket on, no fuss. Fuck it, so it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and it's pitch black and you can hear these waves coming. You know, they
You can hear the
break,
roar coming.
they detonate. Like
Yeah.
And I heard this thing coming. I said, fuck, just hold on, and we got clapped. It's been a really rough few days. We started off with a violent knockdown, which was then preceded by another 2 complete capsize rolls. And like rolling a car, you know, like 100 k's an hour.
Yeah.
And of course, everything inside the boat just flies like shrapnel inside. You didn't have tin cans and stuff, but anything that was loose just goes fucking ballistic and hits your head, and you're fucking upside down, and you're on your head and you're on your feet, and it's like, you can't see anything. It's pitch black. And then it's settled down, but now we settled down upside down, and the instruments lights are on dim. But now you're standing on the ceiling of the boat with the waves crashing over the top, and as the boat's moving, so you've got to keep your balance and not step on any of the screens. You know, you can't step on because then
break
it's
something. Yeah.
So we're looking through the hatch. We had this big Lumar hatch like this. It's looking straight down to the bottom of the Atlantic. It's black, and the water's coming in as the waves are hitting. The water's coming through the seal. You know, like, because it's such high pressure. So we said, okay, look, the boat's not going to right itself. We're going to have to choreograph this now, and when the next one comes, we're going to have to roll it like this, but you can't stand on the fucking instruments. Okay. Fuck, the boat's going crazy. It's fucking, you're in this bubble now. You can't open the hatch.
Yeah.
The next wave comes and it collapses us. It's like an explosion. Fuck, we get fucked up again. We said, okay, hold it. And we got our feet like on the side of the hull like this, and pulled it right. Okay, we got
Right.
But now we got this much water in the boat, shit everywhere. All the bedding is soaking wet. Everything's wet. Everything's fucked. And we just had to sit there through the night, that night, and wait till the sun came up. So
you couldn't even bail. You don't want to open the hatch.
Oh, but we had a manual pump inside. You could get most of the water out.
What sort of width did you have on either? If you were sitting in the middle of the boat, how much space would you have elbow room on either side of you inside that cabin?
No.
Like zero.
No, you sat shoulder to shoulder like this.
That was it.
That's it. Yeah, you couldn't do this.
So what is that? Like a meter and a half inside the hatch?
No, not even.
Not even a meter.
Probably 900 in total.
Width inside the hatch.
Yeah.
Inside the actual cabin.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I mean, with 2 oaks next to one another, it's basically a seat and a seat. And the dagger board casing was there. So your legs were always together because you couldn't have your leg other side of the dagger board casing. So you were like this.
You're saying you slept with a towel between you to
Yeah.
stop yourself from sweating against each other.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think the worst part was really the first 2 weeks out of Cape Town because it's cold and there was no freeboard on the boat. I mean, the boat only floats that high above the water, so the rowlocks are like really low down. So I mean, a little wave of 2 foot goes over your legs, you know, so you're wet all the time.
Jeez,
and
it's cold water. And the cold water, you guys must have chewed chilies
and it's
at
February.
night.
It's February, so the water's like 11 degrees.
Yes.
So you're cold. You're really cold. So yeah, and that first night we rode for 12, 13 hours straight, non-stop.
Yes, and your body has got no climatization. Your first week must have been hell.
It was hell. The first 2 weeks were really hectic, yeah. But yeah, we got clapped by I think 4 storms in total. We also got clapped off Brazil. We got pitch bowled forward like that.
Over. Holy shit. It almost run down, what did you say, 27 times?
27 times by freighters, yeah. They just don't see you. And even if they do see you, they think you're just a piece of shit floating in the water. Cause
up in their wheelhouses, you couldn't see that thing.
Yeah. And radar was useless. You couldn't really see us on radar. We look like a floating toothpick. And with the power problem, the power generation was the biggest challenge because we didn't have any sun. So we couldn't run.
You were saying how many? A lot of days.
48 days out of 92, we had no sunshine. So we had no power, which means we had no chart plotter, no lights, no navigation lights.
And when heating your water, do you use little gas cylinders? Those little
propane
promises.
Things,
Okay. Yeah.
They were really cool. Jet boiler.
Jet boiler.
Yeah. But our light that I used was a rechargeable light I had on my road bike. It was a red LED thing. It was, but we call it the anal bleacher because it was
So bright.
if you shone it in your eyes, you would blind it. You would like take your skin. So we used to put that on we had this little carbon little mast that had our navigation gear on it, and I used to just strap it on there and stick it on at night, and it was a strobe. So on a strobe setting, it used half the power than when it was on solid.
Yeah.
I used to stick that up, and it had this, but it only had like maybe 150 degrees of
Viz.
Yeah. You know, forward of us you could see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing was cut right. I think that saved us a couple of times from ships coming this way.
Yeah.
But we had I had mates at home and in Brazil that we would send an SMS, and they would send an SMS back because we had Iridium of what the traffic was doing. And so they would say you can expect to see a vessel so and so it's coming bearing down,
nice.
4 hours away.
We're just SMSing the details.
Yeah, so we could we had an idea from marine traffic of who was in our area and who was crossing our path, and if there was a collision.
And that's not very accurate either. I mean,
No.
those tracking systems aren't great.
No, they're not live.
No.
So
often 2 hours off, which is freaking a heap of, which is 40 miles.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, they're doing
Yeah.
13 knots minimum.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Shit.
but yeah, because all of this we were here.
Now listen, it's my
A boat, which is your whole world. So it's like your microcosm. Everything on that boat is there to sustain your life. Your water, your food, your shelter, your safety, and then it's sea and sky. That's it. There's no phones, there's no screens, there's nothing else. So you eventually you learn to become part of the whole system, because you're basically in the water all the time. You're sitting like that far from the water. So you see the sun come up, you see the moon come up, you see the stars go overhead, and it goes down. It becomes this, because you're always looking at the sky. You know? So you become part of this whole ecosystem,
cycle,
and you kind of diminish. What it felt like to me was you kind of diminish down in size until you become absolutely nothing. You're just part of the whole of the whole. You know, it's a weird kind of concept.
Yeah, you actually, a lot of the stuff is out of your control completely.
You know, you have to accept it. It's about acceptance. I got to a point where I just had to accept. And once you accept something, then you're cool with it. Because it doesn't matter what comes at you, you have to accept it. You've got no choice. Well, you can choose to fight it. You can choose not to accept it. And what happens then is you just cause more suffering.
Yeah, you're burning
So you
energy,
just
unnecessary
fighting.
energy.
Yeah, you can't flick and go the fuck because a wave hit you in the face, because the wave doesn't give a fuck, you know. But once you can realize that this is it, you have to accept it, then life's a whole lot easier. And so I got into that zone very early in the game. Ram never got there. He fought everything, and that was the difference between his experience and mine. I fucking loved it. I had such a joy, such a connection with everything, and the fish and the life and everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, the fact that you even fed the fish and gave them names and stuff like that.
I said so.
It's like your only entertainment for the day as
Yeah,
well.
there was nothing else, eh?
Yeah.
Nothing else. And I mean, seeing any form of life becomes it's a thing.
Yeah.
You see like a sunfish. Look, there's a sunfish. You're in the water. You want to check it out. Get the GoPros going. Yeah. I mean, even seeing one of the greatest moments was we saw our first airplane fly over. You know, fuck. Okay, there's because you're so far away from
You're seeing life
from life
Yeah.
for such a long time, and there's a I think there's a word for it. It's like a visual deprivation where you become so deprived of seeing stuff that you've normally seen. Like you don't see colors, you see sea and sky. It's all you see, because most of the time
there's no green, there's no vegetation,
Yeah.
no trees.
Yeah, but you become hypersensitive to color and to how you perceive things. All your senses, they elevate to a different, higher level, and you really start seeing and noticing finer detail. If you see something in the water, jellyfish even, you really become
Focused on it.
focused on it, you know, because there's nothing else. And when it's a difficult concept to understand, when you're constantly surrounded by stuff like we are now. We've got lots of stuff.
Yeah, it's overload.
It becomes a normal state of mind. But when you're out there and there is nothing for such a long time, when you see something that's outside of that norm, you can really focus on it, which is amazing, different. And that's why the fish became so popular, because they were like, there's other things out here with us. You know, you're not alone. It's quite incredible. Spot. Worst moment was we got to. I'll tell you this is a longer story. One of my greatest navigation feats ever was we were now coming down the east coast of Brazil, and we had a.
So you guys have gone further north than what you wanted to, and now you had to go south to get to your destination.
But we couldn't make our approach to Rio from too far south because the wind and the current would take us down. We'd overshoot the mark.
So you had rather up was better. Yeah.
So I went high, put the money in the bank.
Yeah.
So now we're coming down, but now there's a storm coming, and the water where we were was only 80 to 90 meters deep. We weren't far off the coast. You couldn't see the coast.
Yeah, there's a bank that stretches to
a long way
out. Yeah. It's the same up north here.
Yeah. So we had to find some spot where we could duck into for 4 to 5 days, because the storm was going to clap us, and we were on a lee shore, and there was nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So I'm navigating by hand. Okay, we've got to stay high. We've got to row this course, and eventually we'll land up smack bang into an inlet where there's this little commercial harbour.
You had a GPS positioning system. Well, you were gone.
We had a Ramarine plot.
Okay, so you could at least plot on the chart where you were. Okay.
And I had my standby navy on it, so I could pull the chart up and say, okay, that's fucking where we're going to go. So we rode. But now the boat's like a hot air balloon. You're basically governed by what the wind is doing in the current. So we had to row like this to do this.
Yeah.
And from about 400 miles out, we went straight through into the channel of this little harbour, straight into the mouth of this spot. And of course we're both fucked because we had to row hard to get there. So for the first time, I think that was about day 80 something, we were on anchor in this little harbour. It was a commercial mining harbour. You weren't allowed in there. It's heavy security and shit, but we came and we dropped the pick. Now the boat's standing dead still for the first time.
Yes.
That was a mental challenge. It wasn't a physical challenge. The good thing is that Willow made me this necklace, and it's very special. Physically was demanding, but the mental challenge, hectic. Trying to keep that all together, that was the challenge. It's like there's parallels between that movie with what's it called, The Life of Pi, with Oaks on a boat with a tiger.
Yeah,
it's that. It's the real story.
Wayne's experience makes our journey pale into insignificance when you consider the distance and the time. So make sure you look out for a new book which Wayne is busy writing at present. He'll be publishing it sometime in the future. It's an incredible story about an incredible journey. Now back to ours.
815 to go.
It's been a long
Man, but at least we got wind. We've had up to 20 plus the last 2 days. Sun's just come out this morning. About 5 days out from Fernando. It's a lovely bank as you come in. So I'm sure we're going to get pummeled as we get there. We're in 6,000 meters of water here, and hence why there's nothing. So these Charlies have been very quiet. Haven't even put the hook out because we're motoring at the moment. We got over 20 knots of wind. Beautiful conditions. It was rough last night, bumpy, noisy. Had a bit of a hiccup this morning. Lost the GPS on the external GPS for some reason or other, but I managed to connect up to one of the internal GPSs on the modules on the screens. They've each got their own, and we got everything up and running again. So yeah, little electronic issues. Not quite sure what that is, if it's got to do with the Wi-Fi link again. That's always the problem when you've got everything running on Wi-Fi. Not a great idea, I don't think. when you're out in the deep blues.
So subscribe and join us as we arrive at the pretty island of Fernando de Noronha on the northern coast of Brazil. We look forward to some reggae music, a couple of beers and a surf on the beach break. Make sure you join us then. Ciao for now.